24-hour fast,
Oh, very
and
good.
I have found it very easy. Also, I'm in my third week of 14-hour fast every day, except for the 24-hour fast. The problem I have achieving is smiling 40 times an hour, or 20 times an hour, or sometimes even a half a dozen times an hour. That's a real effort. Even if I'm smiling inside, it doesn't show on the outside, I'm afraid. So that's my challenge going forward.
First of all,
My
congrats,
personal
Dennis,
comment,
for
Dennis,
congrats for trying the fasting and making it effortless. The smile aspect is more symbolic than anything else, but I think this is what you're doing is more profound than the physical smile itself. So what you're doing is not even possible without you being light at heart and connecting at a deeper level. So congratulations. There is a lot of noise.
Dennis,
I'm going to request you all
Anand,
to mute your mics
Anand,
if you can.
Anand, 1 second. Dennis must be smiling. My feeling is 60 times per hour. You are not calculated properly. Now itself, within 1 minute, you smile about 10 times. You are doing it more. Welcome, Maya and Sham.
Thank you.
Okay, carry on, Anand.
Excellent. We'll go ahead and get started. I've muted everyone, but I remind and request you all to again mute yourself because through the program, otherwise the noise gets difficult for people to follow us. So first 30 minutes or so, I'll try to cover some slides. This will be more like a refresher for our entire 6-week program, and then we'll open it up for more discussions. So I'm hoping you see the full slide. Is that right? Can I have a thumbs up from those with, yeah, okay. Welcome, dear friends. Good morning in the US, good evening in India. Today is Heartful Living, the last and the 6th session, High Life, Living at the Source, Beyond Mind's Logic. My disclosure is HilifeJourney, which is a nonprofit mobile health tool aimed at improving self-resilience through deeper self-inquiry. So today we want to touch upon what this source is, what we mean when we say heartful living. What has been the real life experience of our own real life heart patients at different age ranges? How do we understand consciousness itself for the purposes of self-inquiry? How do we start every time so that the whole process stays effortless? We have a specific set of questions that came through to me in the last few days to talk about specifically dietary fiber, vitamins and supplements. How does altruism and compassion work, and how do we motivate our children towards it? Understanding the flow phenomenon a little deeper. So these things we'll try to cover and then go from there. So this has been our first online experience of heartful living. And I'm so grateful to all of you for participating and encouraging me along the way. This has been a challenge for me because I'm alone in my office talking into the computer. But at the end of it, I've got extremely encouraging feedback over the last several weeks that tells me that we can continue this program despite the coronavirus issues. And not only reaching people in mid-Missouri, we can also reach well beyond that geographic area through the internet. So these were the 6 sessions that we have had so far. So the Olympic torch is a symbol of purity, a strive for perfection, and in a deeper sense for life itself. So this requires the peak, I would say, athletic capacity, training for several years in sports, fitness, optimal or I would say supra-optimal health, and superhuman effort to participate and to succeed at this level. Without that, or beyond that stage of life, when we see cardiac patients in their 50s to 60s, even 80 years of age, with numerous comorbidities, how does this Olympic torch come in our life? It's not by watching it on television, but it is in experiencing it in our life at different levels. So we discussed this several times already. This conscious mind occupies only 10% of all our logic. 90% of our mind is at the subconscious level. And all the noise that we talk about, that we discuss as news or logical thinking, we can leave it at the surface and dive a little deeper to experience and to get the power from our own subconscious source. So how do we get through this barrier to connect with our emotions, values, habits, and much more importantly, with our own gratitude and life, which is also represented by the word creativity? We want to be creative as long as we are alive. So these are the tools that we have used in the last 6 weeks. We've discussed and experienced mindfulness, meditation, gratitude, how to connect with people in our lives with love and be creative, and then the role of exercise, preferably trying new athletics sports at every age of our life, and then understanding flow, the phenomenon of fasting, and concept of ikigai. These are, I would say, proven tools to break through that barrier and again naturally connect with our subconscious. So for this Olympic torch, when we connect at a deeper consciousness level, we do not need to be in our 20s in suprahuman fitness and health to carry this torch. We are not even carrying the torch. Even that is only a symbol. What I want to emphasize here is that fire is actually within us. That is what allows us to wake up every day, allows us to go through life at the optimal and I would say most experiential level, living life itself. So we have our mind and we have our heart, but my invitation to you is to find this gap, and in that gap there is infinite potential to experience life. So we've discussed this. Our knowledge is cumulative over time, accumulates over generations, is the source of all worldly power and success and learning skills, our habits. But this is what we are left with when we focus only on acquiring knowledge from the external world. This is a study we performed on a 30-year, 200,000 data point study. So we got data from 1994-95 when people were about the age of 16, and when they wrote in a survey at that point when they were 16 that they had evidence for poor appetite, reduced sleep, finding it difficult to relax, excessive crying as a teenager, would avoid social interaction, generally felt depressed. What it ends up being is, if we fast forward several surveys later to wave 4, which is in 2006, when the same people, this is about 15,000 people, when they were surveyed again at the age of 29, their chances of being obese or having high blood pressure was significantly higher. This is despite factoring and negating the effect of gender, race, age, socioeconomic status, health, and childhood obesity. So after factoring all this, still these survey questions played a huge role after 15, 20 years in their lives. So how do we motivate children against heart disease. I would say altruism and compassion are the best way to build the needed resilience to cope with life itself. That is what our own University of Missouri study is showing us. So this knowledge that we talked about is amazing. We are not going to walk away from it, but we also want to embrace self-inquiry or self-knowledge, which is active unlearning. It is not transferable, begins every day and for everyone from zero. There is no accumulation over generations like wealth. And this is the honest wealth, because this leads to happiness and fulfillment in our own day, in our own life. And this allows us the resilience to embrace new challenges. We know in 2020 we have more challenges than we would have dreamed about until now. But 2021 is going to bring a new set of issues, and we want to be resilient towards that also. Heart disease, unfortunately, is not a single pathway. There are so many mechanisms and pathways that lead to heart disease. And we know high blood pressure, cholesterol, smoking, diabetes, increasing age, sedentary lifestyle, all these things contribute. And there are several other things, inflammatory markers, infections, calcium, vascular disease, all these things increase heart disease. So to address this, we need not one single pill, we need a holistic lifestyle. But in the background, what are we dealt with? We have so much mental stress. On top of that, the coronaviral challenges, which increases sudden cardiac death, Takasobo cardiomyopathy, all this we are seeing in the literature in the last few weeks. Mental stress increases stress cardiomyopathy, and this is actually occurring more in the COVID era and directly affecting the heart, and independently through the socioeconomic challenges, it is causing more heart problems and hospitalizations when we want to stay away from healthcare if we can in the COVID world. So these are all the distractions we talked about. The greed to grow, the news, economics, society, language, communication, even our own thoughts, logic, and intelligence end up being distractions towards our goal of reaching a holistic and I would say optimal life itself. We cannot go back to our ancestral ways, but if we look at our close cousins, the chimps, their diet is mostly fruits, seeds, leaves, barks, honey, flowers, some insects, and very rarely they hunt and have meat. But the reality is, every day they spend at least 6 hours of their time munching, eating, and actively ingesting food. We don't have 6 hours in a day to eat. That is the challenge of the modern world. So that is why we cook, we order food, and that's how we get into trouble. So these three things we touched upon: emotional eating, habitual eating, and physical hunger. Emotional is what many people don't realize, how much our stress contributes to our eating patterns. And I know of so many kids who say, I'm hungry for ice cream. So that sort of eating is emotional. And we want to realize that it causes only guilt and shame and does not fulfill us. Whereas habitual eating, what I did for 45 years of my life, is eating by the clock, thinking I had to have breakfast at 9, lunch at 1, and dinner at 7, irrespective of how hungry I felt. So this allowed me to pursue a career in medicine and take care of patients. But for my personal health, eating on the clock might not have been the best way to spend my first 45 years of life. Why? Because this is a way of convenience. It allows discipline, but we look at eating as a necessary waste of time because we are preoccupied with so many other higher pursuits. Now I'm realizing so much more in the last 2-3 years that eating when I'm truly physically hungry makes so much more sense, because we don't need food until we are truly hungry. We are open to more healthy options like the ones you see in the picture above. And this hunger actually goes away with any healthy food. And eating becomes a satisfying and fulfilling life enhancing experience. This is another concept we won't spend too much time on, but mindful eating is meant for people who have a BMI of 20 to 25. If you want to lose some weight, if your BMI is 26, 30, 35, or anything higher, we want to push our mindful eating hunger scale to the limit. When we starve, we will not faint or lose consciousness. Most often, we will enter into natural ketosis. For that, we have to facilitate it with being relaxed, by smiling, and by drinking plenty of water. That's what works for most people who don't have eating disorders or insulin requiring diabetes. This will work very easily at every age. From the age of 10 onwards throughout life, we can experiment with this on several days, preferably most days of our life, so that we are more connected with the inner journey. I'm hearing some sound. If we can mute your mics, that will be great. So this is the result. I'm showing it in a graph form, but this is for this 59-year-old person in her life. We are hearing more noise. I'm going to try to mute everyone once again. Okay. So for this actual person who's 59 with heart failure, fast heartbeat, high blood pressure, losing 60 pounds was the difference between being, I would say, crippled for the rest of her life versus finding her freedom to celebrate life once again. So she was able to do this within 3 months by eating mindfully through our self-inquiry program. And now she feels so many years younger and wants to do more. Again, she wants to experiment with more ways of celebrating life through self-inquiry. So this energy comes from herself. And that's what I would say. This is one patient, but there are so many stories like this that we have. And this does not apply only to people who are extremely overweight. Luckily, people who are, I would say, just overweight or even within the normal BMI index, we have started trying these programs. But people who have a BMI below 22, they have to ensure they get that nutrition supplemented in the other 6 days when they are eating, even if they choose to fast 1 day in a week. So fasting can be done by everybody, except if you have insulin requiring diabetes or if you have an eating disorder. So the benefits of intermittent fasting we've touched upon: improves our immune function, ability to cope with the COVID and other infections, reduces chances of diabetes, weight reduction is so much enhanced, heart health and cancer risk goes down by 70 to 80% if we do intermittent fasting, by which we mean once a week going up to 20, 24, maybe even up to 36 hours without any calories, just water. So this is the benefit of intermittent fasting, which has become very popular in the last 3-4 years throughout the Western world and in India as well. These monkeys went beyond. For 2 years, what these monkeys did was they fasted, I would say by force, because they are all in a cage. Their body mass index was normal, their weight was normal, their food composition was normal for a monkey, but they were forced to eat 25 to 30% lesser calories than their normal requirement. When this happened, if you see the monkey in picture A, compare it to the monkey in picture B, which is looking so much younger, although they're both the same age. You can see the side profile here that makes the message so much clearer. By voluntarily taking calorie restriction, we may be able to stop or even reverse aging. And there is another literature showing that brain cells which we thought do not regenerate after birth, we now know that even adults, even at older age, we might be making 700 new neurons every day. This is a large number of neurons, and this is only discovered in the last few years. And the foods that are in bold are the ones that may enhance the ability to create new neurons. Resveratrol, omega-3 fatty acids, calorie restriction, what the monkey showed us, blueberries, flavonoids, folic acid, zinc, curcumin, caffeine, and intermittent fasting. The bold ones, the bigger ones are the biggest contributors. Avoiding vitamin deficiencies and the standard American high-fat diet is important, and processed foods and juicing would be closer to the soft diet, which we want to avoid. So to summarize the high life eating habits, what we recommend is eat only when you're really hungry. This is the most simple way to be grateful and connected and appreciate food rather than take it for granted. Celebrate food with family and friends if you can. Eat slowly, chew the food, and take at least 20 minutes for each meal. We don't need any drinks, we don't need any snacks whatsoever, which will eliminate 9 out of 10 things that we get from the grocery store. So cook at home if you can. That way you will be able to control the amount of salt and processing and nutrition that is retained in the healthy cooking. Plenty of fiber is naturally needed. That's what our chimps cousins are showing us. We had plenty of plant-based food for the most part. So less processing, natural foods, and a colorful plate. More fruits, vegetables, and variety will add more nutrition. Thereby, we don't need any supplements or vitamins over the counter. All these things, again, if we eat less processed, more plant-based foods, we can get all the vitamins and more than our body requires on a daily basis. So we discussed intermittent fasting, which is a lifestyle choice with all these health benefits we talked about, where you go into ketosis once a week after fasting for 12 to 14 hours, the body enters ketosis, which is naturally starting to burn the fat in our own body as fuel for us to survive. And this focuses on returning to the normal eating and accepts hunger as an unpleasant thing that you cope with. And the aim is to get a 20-30% maximum calorie restriction. And people can live to 100 years just by intermittent fasting. That's what more and more evidence is pointing towards. Our own colleagues, friends, and patients in the last 2 to 3 years have shown me how self-inquiry can be used towards this hunger-based gratitude experience, which is the continuous fasting. And by this we mean it is not a lifestyle choice, it is a meditative experience. Beyond the physical benefits, mood and resilience and optimism go through the roof. People get so much more alive, that is what I would say. And this natural ketosis ends up being a more frequent, maybe even a daily experience through gratefully accepting hunger. And hunger is a sign of life itself. And here we can go much further. The chimpanzees were forced to take 20% calorie, 30% calorie restriction. Here, humans can, with a smile, with gratitude, my own friends and patients have shown they can take up to 60, 70% calorie restriction for not only days, for months, and now for the last 2-3 years, and they're doing amazingly well. And this type of very deep calorie cut is required only if you are extremely obese. Otherwise, we don't need beyond 20-30% calorie restriction. So this hunger-based continuous fasting has shown beyond intermittent fasting, the benefits are overcoming depression, anxiety, compliance with anything we put our mind at, smoking cessation, exercise, or relationships, or job, whatever you want to focus on, you are able to do it maybe 3 to 5 times better, and ultimately focusing on deeper relationships and connecting with life itself at a better level. So I will touch upon this flow once again. So tennis may be a simple tool to explain this. As you learn for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years in the x-axis, your ability gradually improves. And the difficulty is the guy standing on the other side of the net, who you are faced with and trying to overcome in the tennis match. So if you're trying to play somebody who's never played tennis before and you have some experience on the tennis court, you're going to be bored because they are not going to return the balls back to you. But if you play with somebody who's experienced and who is a national tennis player, and your skill is only 5 years of casual tennis, your level of anxiety is going to be so high that you will be worried about getting not only bad tennis score, but also embarrassing yourself in front of your colleagues. So the anxiety levels go up. So the optimal tennis experience will be, if you have whatever level of experience you have, find a partner who has similar physical and technical skill, so that you both have a chance of entering this flow where the balance is there between your skill and your challenge. So skill and challenge are the two key words to remember. And this, you don't need tennis. You don't need to write music. You don't need to create new poetry. You don't need to be an artist. Every day, day-to-day living, we can do this. I have so many professors who attended our Heartful Living courses over the last 5 years here at Columbia, and they will vouch for this in reality. Today we are doing it on Zoom, so I'm not opening it up until we finish these slide sets. So there they will raise their hand and say, Doc, Saturday I went to work, and at 8 o'clock I started writing my grant. At 4 o'clock I didn't know where 8 hours went. So that type of engagement with what you're connected with. Again, you don't need to be a scholar or a professor. People doing very routine things like chores at home, doing dishes or cleaning, everything we can open ourselves to this flow experience. That is what the magic of flow is all about. It is beyond the logical mind. This is a patient experience we discussed in the prior meetings, where he sent me this graph, being an engineer, where his heart rate is going up with exercise. His effort capacity is peaking, 10 being the highest. He's reaching 10 on a treadmill for about 20-30 minutes. On some occasions, his effort drops off despite the treadmill going on, despite his heart rate staying high. And this effort dropping off happens once in about 5 times on the same treadmill for the same person, after he ended up with heart stopping and a big heart attack which needed a stent, and he was completely put through cardiac rehab and good medications before he even attempted this. And he was able to safely experience flow in cardiac rehab. And this is another friend of ours who is in our meeting today, and I'm hoping after I finish, he'll be the first one to tell us about this experience, because he shared this very proudly within a few months after the heart attack, because he learned not only to go through cardiac rehab safely, but then he went beyond and got into more fitness. He embraced physical body, I would say, as a more important aspect of his life journey. And that allowed him from 2016 summer, when he had the heart attack, to go through rehab and to win his first medal within a year. And then he continued training in Human Performance Institute, HPI, which is the University of Missouri's program to enhance kids and youth athletic events. But we opened it up for heart patients so that they can also gain more confidence after finishing cardiac rehab. And after a year, after the coronary event, he started fasting, and that is only making him feel more younger. So there is no limit to how much we can experience life and how much we can celebrate life. And he's a beautiful example, because he is so willing to share his experience with subsequent participants in Heartful Living programs. And these two stories I'm taking to American College of Cardiovascular and Pulmonary Rehab Annual Society meeting, which is one of the biggest international conferences on cardiac rehab. I'm taking these stories because I want to inspire the educators and rehab exercise physiologists and nurses, so that they will train their patients with this as the ultimate goal, where exercise is not one more chore, but it is the, I would say, peak experience of life itself, where you can experience through flow. So ultimately, the priorities in life is what things we need to do, we have to do, but many things we may be able to successfully outsource. But again and again, connecting with what is making us alive is the most important thing. So for that, we have to connect again and again with gratitude for the events in our life, for the people in our lives, and for the life circumstances. And ultimately, what we will realize is Gratitude is not a logical experience or a thought process. It is, I would say, our entire being becomes filled with gratitude. From there on, that word becomes less significant and that experience takes on and guides our life itself. So from that gratitude, this smiling 20 times itself that we discussed about in the last two sessions becomes sort of pale. So what it leaves us with is one smile all day long. That would be the simplest way. And for that, we don't even need to smile. Our being becomes the smile. So for that, my simple request to you is whatever activity you're doing, participate in things where you lose track of time. This is the simplest way to connect with your heart. So there are so many chemicals that are so crucial in this, I would say, beyond logic or beyond mind experience, where at the deeper subconscious level, endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, these are the magic chemicals that have been discovered so far. In the next 10 to 20 years, we may discover another 10 more chemicals like this that create the magic. But that magic happens in our day-to-day life through our own self-inquiry. So this is a very sobering slide. What it is showing in red is the exponential growth of computers, artificial intelligence. Already the computer is smarter than the ant, and we are very amused by what all the computers can do. Pretty soon it's going to get smarter than the birds, then the chimpanzee. And if you look at average simple human being versus Albert Einstein, the differential is between a intelligence quotient, IQ of say 80 or 90 up to 200. So 100 and 200, this is the spectrum of IQ. So for artificial intelligence to cross through that and go well beyond, the day may be in our own lifetime. In the next 20, 30 years, it is predicted. AI may get insanely, uncomfortably intelligent. So when that happens, what is it that is going to leave us unique or special, or what is our claim to being the most highest life experience? So this is Moravec's paradox, which says the highest human activities like reasoning, playing chess, picking the stocks, intelligent processes can be taught to computers. What is much harder to teach computers is very simple subconscious efforts like walking, running, seeing, recognizing, smelling. Consciousness itself is the toughest thing to teach AI. So even that may be overcome. We don't know. Yoga requires or goes through 8 levels of processes. Very shortly, first is the right and wrong. Don't hit somebody, don't rob from somebody's wallet, very basic things. And then observing personal restraints, and then poses, the typical yoga that is very popular in the Western world, all the yoga postures. And then comes pranayama. We can try one pranayama while we are here at this slide. I'm going to request you to smile as broadly as you can, show as many teeth as you can, and then take in as deep a breath as you can. See me do it, and then hold your breath for 20, 30 seconds. It's very, very simple. Smile, take a deep breath, and hold your breath. I know some of you are still holding the breath. That's fine. We'll give you another few seconds. And then we'll all try it once again. The exact same thing. If you're still holding your breath, then you should be getting into sports. Okay, we'll start again. Excellent. So those who want a bonus breathing technique, the one that I use in a tennis match, I will teach this if you will promise me not to challenge me for a tennis match. This I do it when I am losing and I want more subconscious power to relax and to compete better. What it is it's like whistling with your tongue out, but curl it in a roll like this. Leave your tongue outside as you take in a deep breath, and then you don't have to hold it. You can just breathe out. Just the breathe in, you will feel the entire respiratory passage becomes so cool when you try this. We can do it 2 or 3 times, and then we'll go on with our slide set. You see me how I'm doing this? In and out.
Are you breathing in with your nose or your mouth?
Through the mouth. Through the tongue, you can see you can experience the air breathing in through the tongue. And then you can breathe out through the nose. You don't have to hold the breath. So next time, if I'm in trouble, I'll be trying this in the tennis match. I've been doing it for 2 years with extreme success. I know some of my tennis partners are also on this, so you're also welcome to try this. So the next thing, so these are the first 4. The next thing is controlling the senses, because every human experience comes through our basic senses, the 5 senses, and then attaining that ability to concentrate our mind itself, single-mindedness, and then the ability to meditate on the divine, or the light in our heart, or warmth in our heart, or just on our breath itself. And finally, experiencing the ultimate union with God or nature or ultimate bliss. So these are the 8 levels of yoga, and we'll just keep moving along. So this I have used now for the last 1 or 2 years in our Heartful Living program. It's a very, very, I would say, simplistic view of consciousness. Let me explain this. So this is, the center is the 0 point, or where we are today. We are all sitting in our own computers, connected on Zoom, and time, we are trying to focus on where we are right now. Our logical mind is this yellow zone. What I mean by this is we think about a little bit into the future, what we're going to do in the next few hours, maybe next few days, or we worry about the past 1 or 2 days or the past few minutes, what we have done. And the y-axis is our comfort zone. How much are we able to assimilate? For this, what I want to leave you with is, so many things can happen this minute that is pleasurable. You may get a page or a text saying the lottery ticket that you bought last week has won you $10 million. So that will be extreme high pleasure. How able are we to cope with that sort of a thing? If you did not buy a lottery ticket last week, don't even worry about this example. And the pain may be, if for instance, we are all sitting in our chairs, what if one of the chair's leg breaks and we end up on the floor? Sitting where we are, we may end up with a fracture that needs surgery tomorrow. So that may be a very physically painful experience. Now, I hope none of our chairs fail us today. But I'm just saying, so life can have positive or negative experiences that can happen before we can anticipate them. So that is how 2020 happened to us. This coronavirus really made us experience so many levels of challenges and pain. But this yellow zone is how we are able to deal with our life, and we want to improve our resilience. For that, what we are left with is plenty of regrets in our past and plenty of anxieties for our future. But we also have some things that give us fulfillment in our future and gratitude in our past. Mindfulness is the ability to expand our attention towards the present moment, by which our resilience goes up significantly and our experience of routine things becomes so much more profound. Say like having some grapes. Grapes is something we've had as a group. I get grapes from a local store and we share it in our Heartful Living sessions when we do it in person. I could have asked you to get a grape, I guess, but we are today at our last session, so we'll keep moving forward. But even having a grape for 1 minute, playing it around for 10 seconds in our mouth and having that first bite can be so beautiful experience. So how to experience it again and again? That is through a deeper mindfulness. So this is what I believe mindfulness does. And this blue huge triangle, not triangle, this whatever shape this big blue thing is, that expands the entire field is heartful living, by which what I mean is we can expand into our past and rewrite our own history however we want it. Say, for instance, at 20, if I had wanted to become a Wimbledon champion, I did not even get a ticket to go and view Wimbledon, forget about participating in a Wimbledon match. So I can rewrite it and say, I still love tennis. I still enjoy it in my late 40s. So that is my best experience of playing tennis from the age of 10 onwards. I never went to Wimbledon, but that is okay. So I can write my history like that. And when we are connected with that deeper, heartful living, our energy, we can look at our future with 1/10 that level of stress or anxiety. That is the beauty of connecting with the subconscious. So that is what I'm showing here. When you connect again and again every day with your own consciousness, you will find through sports, through fasting, through connecting with your ikigai, or through whatever hobby that you have in life, you will find through heartful living, we've connected with so many things that the gratitude becomes such a big portion of your day-to-day experience of consciousness, and your fulfillment and your happiness becomes a reality. It is not a theory. It is not something you have to force on yourself. It is effortlessly settling as your state of being awake. That is what is heartful living. But you do still have some anxieties, whether we'll be able to cope with this COVID challenges. We'll have some regrets, but we would have rewritten it in a much more beautiful script that is our life experience. So this is a simple invitation for you to experience time as a much broader sense and to experience challenges and pleasures at a more profound, holistic way. So this is what is this question of self-inquiry. Who am I? From Ramana Maharishi, who says, inquiry consists in retaining the mind in the self, and silence itself is the true teaching. So self-inquiry, life enrichment, leading to celebrating existence itself is what silence is all about. So this we've touched upon. The growth mindset is different from seemingly aimless effort, which is hard work, and this is accepting life as it is. Things need to be changed where things are okay as is. Material success is good, but if you are minimalistic and intrinsically driven towards what really, really motivates you, you will find the power of being is actually deeper than the power of logically or intellectually doing things. This is the Maslow hierarchy of needs, where the basic physiological needs, and then the shelter is the safety needs, and relationships in life are the social needs. And then once all these are fulfilled, we go towards more power and recognition in society, esteem, and then ultimately self-actualization. All this is continuously growing towards our maximum optimal potential. And self-inquiry is transcendence, where we do things without worry or without even wanting recognition, for the sake of expressing life itself at a more profound level. So how do we break through all these levels of growth? Through self-inquiry. The basic needs need to be fulfilled. We need food. We need to overcome true hunger, which is starvation. We need to be able to acquire, secure enough food. Once we have that, we can start the self-inquiry process. We can bypass all these levels through gratitude. Intermittent fasting has numerous benefits we touched upon. Through self-inquiry, we deal with heart attacks, diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, 70, maybe 80% cancer risk reduction. Not only treating all these diseases, we can prevent stress, anxiety, burnout at work, especially for doctors, cope with depression, suicidal risk, all these things goes down. Even the risk for dementia, Alzheimer's goes down 70% if we follow heartful living through our program, where we teach more the experience which connects us with the relationships more meaningfully and improve our performance, ability to recognize happiness and fulfillment, confidence in life, and gives us infinite energy to wake up every day with the Ikigai. So this is the flow phenomenon we touched upon, where the skills have to be matched with challenge. When we are skilled and we sit and waste time on television, we become apathetic, we are bored. Instead, we should try to do things that stimulate us to grow and every day learn something. Learning is excellent, new skills, new arts, new music, or new dance, or whatever your body and mind are interested in. And sports is a beautiful way to connect with, or athletics, whatever you're able to physically engage in is even better than passive or passive learning. But even that is amazing way to engage your mind. So this we have discussed the power of what Tirukkural 2000 years ago encouraged us to do. This first Kural talks about being grateful and instantly forgetting any harm done to you. Then this talks about hunger, gratitude experience. அற்றது அறிந்து கடைபிடித்து மாறல்ல தூய்க்க துவர பசித்து. Find which is healthy food for you and eat only when you're really, really hungry. That's what this is saying. And this allows us to enter into flow or to connect meaningfully with our passion. It says, ஒளி ஒருவருக்குள்ள வெறுக்கை இடி ஒருவருக்கு திறந்து வாழ்துமெனல். What this means is, if you can even think that you can live without passion, it's a disgrace to your existence. Connect with your passion. And that is the only way to live life at its highest potential. So the flow phenomenon that we discussed as the highlight itself is only the beginning. When you connect with your gratitude, when you say gratitude, this is already well beyond the logical mind. The logical mind can only perceive a few events or a few simple things. The gratitude we are talking about that will allow us to enter hunger and stay hungry is a much deeper level of gratitude. And this basically requires zero effort. Just sitting in your chair without cooking, staying a little more hungry for a few more hours really is not physically that challenging, but I would say it requires a deeper subconscious or a heartful living level of gratitude for you to experience this hunger again and again. So all the smile, 20 smiles, all that is already built into this graph. And this will allow you to not only enter flow, but to realize flow is not a transient experience. Flow can be our life for the most part. Our entirety itself can be a passionate experience. So that's why I invite you to restart every day. That is how this high life works. It has to be every day an experience. It is not something you acquired in the summer of 2020 and it will stay with you. In another few months, this entire discussion, these slides will slowly fade away from your logical mind. But that experience, that gratitude, I wish it will stay with you all life long. So to remind you for the next few months, you're welcome to stay with this program lifelong. If you think this diary of 4 simple things that we have, hunger and exercise and silence and a little bit of 1 minute of altruism. These are the 4 external things that we want you to document in this for the first 3 months so that it will become more of a habit. So the whole thing after the 3 months will, I strongly believe, it will remain effortless when you start at the source. So what is the source we keep talking about? Living at the source. The source is the Big Bang. They say everything started with the Big Bang, which happened about close to 14 billion years ago. And after that, the worlds formed and life started and everything happened. So, but where did this Big Bang come from? It came from silence. It came from nothing. That is what the theory is. So 13.8 billion years ago, slowly fire started and then everything started. And then where has this left us? Where humans came and we are contemplating life. But this pose looks to me too contemplative. Heartful living is not about this. It is about celebrating life. Start every day with your silence. Connect with some exercise. Find variety in sports, exercises despite physical limitations. Do some weight training if you feel like. Move more naturally. Find flow that involves your mind, but definitely find flow that involves your body also. Experience life holistically through the body and the mind, starting with the silence. If you don't find the energy to do any of this, stay in the bed a little longer till you're a little more hungry. Then the body will wake you, the mind will wake you. Let the hunger be your silence. So find this passion every day. Don't stop with the thinking. Experience life beyond that logical mind. Connect again and again with your silence till you come. It does not have to be tennis, but tennis is my sport, and tennis starts every day at love all. Loving everyone is how tennis started in 1800. 0-0 means we do this for the love of the game, not only for tennis, for the game of life itself. So that is how the scoring in tennis works. And this, I believe, is the biggest lesson that was taught to my son, because I didn't pay for my tennis lessons. I learned it from him. His coach told him, start your tennis match at love all. Everybody starts at love all, but because my son Kevin, when he was 14, he was so logical in his thinking. He would try to beat everybody with his mind. The coach told him, don't worry about your logic. Simply think throughout the match that your score is again love all. You don't have to think the score is 30, 40, 3, 4. You're at pressure. You have to win the match. No. Every point start with love all. So I believe I took that lesson at that point towards my life itself. Every day we can start at love all. That way we can find that energy to move ahead positively. So for that, we have this simple thing where we talk about fasting, exercise, self-talk for 1 minute, and altruism. But the most important thing is they are all connected through our gratitude, through our awareness, through our silence, and this compassion towards others. And much more importantly, it will start with ourselves. Being accepting of our own self is self-compassion. So all these things are interconnected. Outside it may seem like different efforts, but at the core they are all part of the same experience of high life. So we'll stop here and open it up for first a few minutes of rapid fire questions. I went into flow. That is my excuse for going well beyond my 30-minute limit. Today we went way longer. I am sorry that I took so much of our time, but first 10 minutes, people who haven't spoken so far, if they want to share within a minute any experience or any quick question, we'll do it for the first 10 minutes. And then I'm here for more discussions as we wish to continue.
Can I ask a question, Dr. Chakalinga?
Yes.
So as you're getting towards self-inquiry, obviously we interact with other human beings every single day that are all at different levels of that continuum. When you are faced with individuals who are maybe negative or anxious, what do you suggest if you're closer, to the self-inquiry, and you're grateful and you're working on yourself? How do you respond with compassion?
It is
that's
it is the
what
real
did you
challenge.
say?
And
it's hard, isn't it? Sometimes.
If you ask me, my personal experience is it is very, very natural, just like the rest of my life is. So the way I take it is everybody is doing their best. That is my simplest answer to your question. That is the best they are able to do at that point in their existence. And we do our best. And that itself is going to inspire people to do better. When you smile, they are going to come around and ask you, why are you still smiling? And then your life itself will become the example for them. But if you want a one-word answer, the answer is, from the core of my heart, everybody is doing their best. Some more quick questions we'll address, and then we'll open it up for discussions. We can come back to these same questions, but I just want others to have a chance to quickly experience, because it's getting closer to the 11 o'clock time point.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Hello, Dr. Chakalingam. It was a wonderful session and I'm enjoying a lot. But you mentioned today is the last session, but in that email, there is one more session left. So
That was a buffer session. Usually when we do this heartful living for the last 5 years, something or the other comes up. Some weather,
okay.
because it will be in the winter. Because this is online, the computer does not fail. So we kept our appointment with all the first 6 sessions. I am happy to be here next Monday, same time. If you want to come, I will come. We'll just keep it as a 1 hour open discussion where I don't bring any slides. I don't bring any agenda to discuss. We can all meet again. Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
We'll keep this
Yeah, it will be
where we actually share everybody's experience. So you will have a requirement to talk 2 to 3 minutes because I won't have anything to talk about. So that we can all share and it'll become more like an open forum. Because we are not physically sitting in the same room, this group experience we have, I would say, lost 90% of it in the last 6 weeks. That's because in the group, it's been so high energy, whereas in the computer, we've lost it. Why don't we catch it next Monday? Thanks so much for bringing that up. I did not even remember that there was one more Monday in our schedule. We will all meet again next Monday. But again, you can bring a couple of minutes worth of slides if you want to share anything. You can bring your music that you wrote, anything at all. I have invited children who are in the age range 10 to 16 who are doing some amazing work. Children who are participants in this program to bring and share their altruism compassion experience. So next Monday will be an opportunity for them to share in 1 or 2 minutes that experience also. So next Monday may be the best of our heartful living sessions. So thank you so much for bringing up that beautiful question.
Thank you so much. Yeah. We look forward for next Monday. Yeah.
So, Anand, I have a question. When we eat very little calories, like we go lower than our basal metabolic rate, is that going to slow down the metabolism?
Excellent.
And
I will tell you from my personal experience, it slows down basic metabolic rate. It slows down the body temperature. It reduces the body's temperature. And it actually reduces my chances of winning in a tennis match. So I tried to teach my body to fast and win in a tennis match. It's taken me 3 years and I have not yet succeeded for the most part. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're trying to compete in an Olympic event or in a competitive sport or improve your athletic timing, it may not work. But otherwise, fasted exercise, weight training, fasted aerobics, fasted interval training, all these things work great. My 2 mile running time is about 17.5 minutes. It went close to 18 minutes, only 30-second increase after I fasted for 36 hours. So the answer is, it does slow our metabolism, but that slowing may be how these monkeys are stopping aging. Calorie 2 is a human study published recently, and we discussed that in the last meeting, where human beings, when they took a 20% calorie cut for 2 years, they became 25-year-olds when their actual age was 35, 40 years of age. Although their BMI was normal, their diet was balanced by just taking a calorie reduction of 25%. This has been published in major journal. It's a beautiful study. The study's name is Calorie 2, and it's published in Lancet. So what I'm trying to say is, for my heart patients, or for even my own daughter who is 10 years old, having a little bit of calorie, 10 is a stretch. From the age of 18 onwards, I would say, when we've reached our height potential, taking a voluntary cut in calories, maybe up to 10, maybe up to 20%, may be okay. But once a week fasting is definitely going to reduce our chance of cancer and other things. So the simplest answer is, inflammation goes down along with temperature dropping and BMR dropping, and that is profoundly beneficial.
but the general feeling, or the general what you hear is that when your metabolism goes down, then your body tends to store more fat.
Yes, yes.
So
It's not going to store more fat. I mean, it's not getting the ability to move energy towards fat is a luxury. Only when the body's routine requirements are met. So if we stay hungry, there is no way we can store fat.
okay,
If we are trying to
that
lose
makes
weight,
sense.
yes.
So reducing your calorie intake by 20% every day is a good thing, what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yes. We can go up to 50%. My patients have gone up to 70% and sustained it for
Every
2 to
day?
3 years. Yes, yes. That is the graphs I showed you just now. So
Mhm,
they have done it
mhm.
for 2-3 years, and when I call them now in the COVID era, I'm not even seeing them. I'm calling them on the phone. How are you doing? They're 3 hours away, living alone. Their daughter lives 1 hour away, this patient that you saw today. And she's asking me what I can do now differently, doc. What you taught me is 2-3 years ago. That's worked fine. I'm doing all
Yeah,
that. Now how can I get even younger? So that much energy they have. So
that's very
that is the
wonderful.
power of self-inquiry, your heart.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Anand,
Yes.
I really appreciate the 6 weeks, really great. And what I want to put it in a nutshell, everything is fine. The most important thing is, in any given moment, never compromise happiness. Be happy, you'll be healthy. Because once you are going to compromise happiness and become unhappy, you are inviting all diseases. And to make you happy, your hunger, fasting, everything making may be happy. Smiling maybe. And one small thing what I found is, everyone in that born, they're all born fine. Everyone. But we start defining for the differences that leads to our problems. Once again, you must refine ourselves to become fine. It may take a lot of time, you may succeed, may not succeed. So what you have been born must be fine, must continuously be fine. What I personally feel you must comment on about the food Anand, the main culprit after agriculture is the rice, and equally bad is the wheat also. Many they think the wheat is a good, they start consuming 4 chapatis, 6 chapatis, replacing that you must stress, and the other things are all very fine. Another thing I want you to stress, Priya also, yourself and everyone. Suppose anyone in the group or globally they already had 90% block in the coronary vessels. If they really follow what you've been telling in all the way 6 weeks, and they're going to implement in their life, in 1 year, it regresses enormously. So regression of block is possible. What they thought initially is a permanent one. And last point I like to add, suppose my parents are all diabetic, likely not. And if somebody, myself for example, no, my children, grandchildren, everyone become the same disease of diabetes, hypertension. What is the solution for them? And you all must know the scientific papers that come out last year also, you read it out. If they're going to follow for 9 years your way of life, what you are taught for last so many weeks, 9 years of your positive life, positive thought, the genes get mutated to positivity. The gene that is carrying that diseases, it gets weathered off. So that point also you must start emphasizing. It prevents block, effectively regresses block, and genetic mutation to positivity. Suppose you are born healthy without any disease. If you are going to have the negative thoughts, negative lifestyle, in 9 years, all diseases will get attached to that genes. So genes or epigenes or phenotypes, they constantly change to positivity and negativity by your mind signal and your lifestyle. Thank you very much,
Excellent.
Anand.
Excellent. Thanks for bringing.
Dr. Anand, good evening. Jayashree here. I really thoroughly enjoyed your sessions. Very informative. I have rather 3 questions. One, in the intermittent fasting style and the continuous fasting slide, you had written that ketosis is only twice a week or something when it comes to intermittent fasting. But in the earlier session, you said that ketosis sets in once you complete, for a regular person which is not into very high level of physical activity, you said it says after 12 hours of fasting, right? So that's it. So it doesn't happen on a daily basis. That's one. The second question is, suppose there are days, I don't know, personally I've experienced this, there are certain days I just don't feel much hungry, though you give a 10-hour for time to eat anything, right? Maybe I eat lunch at 1 o'clock, I may eat something at 6, and after that I never feel hungry. hungry at all. So do I calculate the next 14 hours from 6 p.m. the previous day whenever I finished and then take the next, or just stay till the time I get hungry and then I eat? And the third one, sorry, when is your next session? A few people to whom I've spoken very enthusiastically, they said they would love to attend the session. So if you can just share the information about your next session, maybe then we can pass the message.
We haven't set the dates yet for the next cycle. We'll usually take a 2 to 3 week break and then we'll give the sessions. By next week, I'll try to finalize the dates for the next 6 week session, or we'll call it the 7 week session, because the 7th week, I believe next Monday is going to be our best of the Heartful Living sessions. Now, trying to answer the questions, I look at our cousins, monkeys. They are eating per day for 6 hours, every day. Other vegetarian herbivores like cows and horses, they are eating, even elephants, they're eating for all their waking hours. They're mostly munching grass throughout the day. So when we say fasting, we are actually going against our nature in the fasting itself. So that is why my dad, when he mentioned, he wanted to emphasize about rice and wheat, because they're very high dense in calories. Why do we have them? Because of convenience. So that we can focus our consciousness on growth, on learning, on productivity, on deadlines, and not worry about our hunger and eating. That is why we eat rice. If monkeys are eating 50 fruits a day, first of all, fruits are way more expensive than fast food right now. But not only the cost issues, the convenience issues come in. When you asked about which diet and how long for ketosis, if you look at people who talk about keto diet, I deliberately stayed away from that. Keto diet means eating mostly meat and fat. They say it is so much easier to fast longer if you eat a keto diet. But the point is, we are what we eat. And our GI system, our natural evolution has been through eating only plant-based food, very lightly. Very, very little meat for convenience, very rarely, that's it. So I would request you to try a plant-based whole food diet. And if you're not hungry, you don't have to eat. If you're below the age of 18, and if your BMI is below 22, then you have to force calories into your body. But if your BMI is 25 and you're above the age of 18 and you're active exercising, you will feel hungry when you need food again. And it's okay to go for 6 hours, 10 hours, 14 hours, whatever. And then when does ketosis set in? If you are routinely doing stuff without extreme physical exertion, in about 10 to 12 hours, the liver's stores gets depleted. So after a meal, if you're awake for 12 hours, your body will have to start moving into ketosis to keep the energy levels up. So if people choose to go into hunger-based gratitude experience as a way of losing extreme obesity, they want to drop their BMI from 35 all the way down to 25 over the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years time frame, I suggest that they go into hunger-based gratitude experience, which is trying to fast on most days. Instead of saying intermittent fasting once a week, you have to accept hunger itself as a way of life. And with a smile, with that gratitude, it can be successfully done with plenty of water and adequate nutrients, micronutrients you get through fruits and vegetables. For them, ketosis will happen on a nearly daily basis, because every time they're hungry. But others who are with a normal BMI of below 25, who are not trying to lose weight, for them, intermittent fasting may be all that you need to do. Ketosis will happen only once in a week.
Thank you. And successfully, I've done my third 24-hour fasting without any effort.
Good. You're still smiling. That is the proof. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
3 times 24 hours. Yes.
Anand, Sham has just had his medicals, and I think this 24-hour has worked very well. I'll tell him to tell you about it. He's getting off one of his medics for the evening diabetes.
Excellent. Why don't you introduce where your story is, so that people here who might not know you will know what you're trying to achieve. Start in the beginning, but keep it. Yeah. Tell us the whole story in a minute.
Okay, Anand is firstly my son-in-law to say, my sister's son-in-law. and he has been a champion for this intermittent fasting. And I had the most indisciplined husband ever, who, you know, at the moment I say no, it's like a yes. So I'm like really amazed that Anand was able to convince him to think about his health. And he's been diabetic now for the last 3 or 4 years. And it was pretty uncontrolled when we started out. And then, you know, I had to literally drag him to somebody, and then he went on to medication. And then we started with a HbA1c count of 10, okay? And it was like a big, for me, it was a shock. I don't know whether he was worried, but we went, and then with good medication. And I must say, he has persisted in exercising. And to a large extent, I think both you and, you know, your wife, Smrita, have motivated him to think about it. And he now, I mean, walks every day. And like calls himself the 10,000 step man or something. And
actually, I call myself the million step man. I've been doing this 10K steps for the last 5 days, continuously without a break. Today is my 20th continuous day of weekly fasting. I finished my fast 20th thing today. 24-hour fasting. This is the 20th week, and my HbA1c levels have dropped down to 6.8.
Wow! Congratulations.
My doctor is taking me off the evening pill. So
you will come off the rest of the medicines also in the next few months. I'm
hoping for that very desperately.
Excellent. Congratulations. So you inspired so many people live today. Thank you.
You did. You did.
No, I have to thank you, Anand, because I mean, it was impossible to make Sham understand. And even I have now become a big champion of your intermittent fasting. And like I messaged you today, it was a big mind block to get past the 12-hour. I was
that
able
is when
to
the
go
ketosis sets in. That's when the logical mind we need to overcome with our gratitude. Wonderful, wonderful. Glad you're joining.
Strangely
more like
enough,
a prayer rather than like a health lifestyle. Excellent.
Strangely enough, I have a yoga class very early in the morning, and I used to think that, on an empty stomach, I would never be able to go through it. And but I find that it's easier for me to go through the 14 hours with that class, maybe because my mind is occupied and I'm not thinking like, okay, I have to have my coffee, I mean, that thing I'm able to overcome. But I've understood it's just very, I wouldn't say for very long I've tried it. The challenge is to get to eat early in the evening. That's where I'm, challenged a bit, but I'm getting there. But I want to just say that.
Congratulations to both of you.
Anand,
why don't you ask others to ask any questions before it's getting too late? Another few minutes, let them ask, then we'll continue our discussions. From the US, anybody who has any comments, questions? I'm seeing some on the chat box. Let me quickly go through that also real fast. Any questions? Anything from the US? Any ideas you would like to share? Yes, Dad. It's your turn.
No, Anand, Maya and Sham, if everyone follows what we are saying, we will become jobless.
Okay.
That's the thing you are planning for, Jennifer. And I want your comment of one picture I'm going to show you now. What is that?
It's a rainbow.
Okay. Why I have shown this one is, Sala and everyone, life is a rainbow. It will appear, disappear. We all will appear and disappear. Rainbow, if you go nearer, you cannot see. Rainbow, you cannot touch it. The same thing for your life. Never go into a life. Be an observer for your life. You will be happy. The 7 colors in the rainbow, as Anand has been telling all the time, have the 7 good characters. Like what? Humanity, humility, honesty, holistic, humor, hard work, helping, like that. The 7 colors nature has given in the skin of fruits and vegetables. Please take the fruits and vegetables with the skin, because interior does not much of value. And out of 7 colors, at least 2 colors of your exercise you must follow, either walking, jogging, cycling, tennis, whatever thing, and make meditation and yogasana as a part of it, and thereby all the things are there in the rainbow. If you decide to not follow what Chokalingams are saying, that even now you will have rainbow in your house, the rainbow will be of different colors of all medicines for all diseases. So you have to choose what you want. Rainbow of positive, rainbow of that one, choice is yours. Be happy and
Wonderfully
healthy.
explained.
Thank you very much, Anand, for this nice sala. I'm so
Last
happy.
time
I'm
you brought
seeing
that smiley face. Today you brought the beautiful rainbow also. So very nice.
Dr.
that is
Chokalingam,
the reason why I got this rainbow.
Dr. Chokalingam,
Yes.
I have a rainbow in my life that I can touch.
Oh, good. Super. Really great, Anand. I really appreciate. And you are doing a good job and connecting. And Priya, any comment? Because they were
Dr.
one second.
Chokalingam, Dr.
Yes.
Chokalingam, could you repeat those 7 things? You said humanity, humility, honesty.
Holistic, humor, helping, hard working.
Oh, okay, very nice.
Nice. You're asking me to repeat. And how much a difficulty, because I train only Anand, Priya, and even Anand's mother-in-law, everyone, including my wife was my student. But see, what happened, now I am learning from my students, Anand Chokalingam and Priya Chokalingam, that my students has become my teachers. That should be that,
Yes.
that they are doing. I'm so happy.
So the credit goes to you when the student becomes better, or even, you know, they say, you know, in Hindi, there is a saying that the student is becoming better than the teacher, but I think that credit all goes to the teacher.
Very good. Another small comment before Priya says, our children are 3 or 5-fold more intelligent than us. Our grandchildren are much more. But their intelligence cannot be compared. Please appreciate their intelligence. But experience in our life of 50, 40, whatever thing, they will never have it when they're starting. So request them to imbibe their intelligence plus our experience, they will excel. So don't force them or give them advice. Tell them these are suggestions. That's what my experience. It is up to you to decide or not. They will excel many fold better than us.
Yes.
Thank you, Priya. Unmute. For you and I have to teach Priya. See that? Okay, fine.
Session, Anna. Appa, thanks for those lovely comments.
I think Priya
I
audio
cannot
is not
hear you,
good.
Priya. Can you type it into the system? Priya, our request is for you to type.
Not good.
You have to type your comments, Priya, into the box, then I can read it.
One option is mute, unmute a couple of times.
No, her audio has been like this even last week. So I don't know. That must be something with the telephone.
The net is not, Anand, the net is not correct. So everything slow down. So net is the problem, Priya, with you.
You can type your comments, Priya. We'll get to you.
Sham, whenever the net is not good, that all the things go subnormal. Maybe going for subconscious mind, the net is going, I don't know. Very good, Anand. Chennavarai. Appreciate பண்ண. Yes. No.
Am I audible?
Now all right,
Okay,
slightly
very good.
better.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Better.
Oh, okay.
People who've not spoken so far, any?
Yeah, Anand, I just want to share a observation.
Yes.
I think Jennifer Brooks made a statement saying that, or at least you responded to Jennifer's concern about, like being positive, and if the other person is always being negative, how to deal with that. And your outlook is everyone is doing their best at any given moment.
Yes.
Accept that. Once you accept that, and that is a very, very powerful statement, because you literally have to believe that. Even the person who's, you have to keep smiling through your anger and emotions when you're responding to that person. That's how I conquered that. Because you have to understand that they are doing their best. And then you should not take it very personally at all. And once you do that, everything makes total sense to you after that, Jennifer. So I think that if you just practice that, you'll be able to resolve that issue.
It is
and thank you, Dr. Kakalingam. இப்பதான் தெரியும் எனக்கு ஆனந்தோட அம்மா பேரு செந்தாமரையா?
Correct.
It's a beautiful name, auntie. எனக்கு உங்க பேர் தெரியாது முன்னாடி. ரொம்ப அழகான பேர் உங்களுக்கு. கேக்கல.
It is. I muted. Let's unmute. We'll have to unmute.
Okay.
Illa, wait a second. I'm seeing how to unmute it.
And Maya, you're relaxing in it's night time over there, is it?
Yeah. It's about 9 now. I mean 9:30 past 9.
You guys have retired already. Okay.
So we
Nice.
just all set to watch a nice film or something after dinner.
So, Amma, I muted your mic because you were chatting with Dad. Now you'll have to unmute and you have to make your comments again, Amma.
Yeah, I think they're okay.
Okay, now,
Sala, Maya, I enjoyed all of you talking actually. And it is really interesting the way you tell your experiences. And I'm learning so many things from all of you. And intermittent fasting doesn't seem so tough for me. I think that's always every day's procedure here. If you only eat a little early and early in the evenings and a little late in the morning, it becomes intermittent fasting, which I think I can easily adopt.
Excellent.
The other things
We are learning a lot from you guys as well. We are learning a lot from you guys as well. I love your relationship between the both of you.
Thank you.
So Sala, one request when you said when somebody is doing something silly, making you angry or trying to cope with it with a smile, the thing is what I'm finding in the last 2 years, 3 years with more and more self-inquiry is that even I don't get angry much anymore. That's one thing. But even if somebody is really silly, my response is not direct. There is that gap between my logical mind and myself. That's the gap I showed you in one slide between my heart and my mind. What I'm inviting you is, since many of you are trying fasting, that gap is something you can settle down with very comfortably. So you will have that much infinite amount of time in a minute or a moment that you have to respond to even not only to the other person, even how you perceive that silly experience that somebody is trying to hurt us or do something that is not right in this circumstance. How you even accept it or recognize it, you have so many choices. You will find your heart allows you 20 new choices, whereas earlier you thought you had only one road which is being blocked by somebody. You will find that there are
very well said, Anand. Thank you.
Anand, how will you accept the person, they are all really traitors.
Only after
Just,
Are only
just leave them out of your life.
only the
there is no traitor anywhere. Everybody is doing their best. Their best is falling very short. It is in fact hurting so many people, robbing so many people of their hard-earned money. It is, I mean, we can keep on adding adjectives, but the reality is everybody is still trying their best. That is what it
Now,
really.
what I want to ask you, cheaters all right, enemies all right, beggars all right, all the things are right. But those are acting as a friend and then they're worrying you down. How will you accept them?
Little more hunger will answer the question for you from inside. It is only by giving up our needs and our securities and our boundaries.
They're like that. Okay.
Anand, I want to just respond to Jennifer Brooks, this thing about negativity. Something that I find helps me deal with is when someone is constantly being negative, I try and, switch the topic, and I just kind of, change lanes, and I make them think of something else. And for some people, I feel it's almost become like a habit. So this helps me, to just divert the topic. A change of topic breaks it, and helps me also deal with the fact that, okay, we can speak about something else. And I think it also cuts the thought process of the person on the other side to maybe think a little differently for some time at least. So that's one way of,
can be a temporary one.
yeah, but at least, it breaks it for, sometimes it gets a bit too much for the person on the receiving side, you see, and you are not, you can't be rude, you can't be, cut them off. And so I feel, it's easier to divert their attention as well.
Wonderful.
And it works both ways for me as well as for the other person.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Just give them a
I
hug.
just want to add in a little bit, like we can sing a song, everything is awesome. There's a kid's song of a Lego movie, everything is awesome. So maybe thinking that and all is well, that song, so which will just help us to forget and try to move forward. All is well and everything is awesome.
Yes, this positivity definitely has a significant role, especially in this COVID world. Even simple negative emotions is going to reduce our ability to fight back with our good immunity. So this empty seat next to you is a simple thing to remember. If you don't have anybody sitting with you, actually in the COVID world, even better, less social risk of the infection. But what I'm trying to say is, if somebody beside you is saying negative things about even a movie or a show that you're watching, it's going to bring down your experience. So whatever life experience it is, see how people around you are enhancing your experience. And the responsibility in your turn will be how you are enhancing somebody else's experience of life. So before you utter anything negative, think 2-3 times whether it is first of all true, and if it is true, is it adding value by saying these negative thoughts. Excellent, and appreciate, especially in the COVID world, it becomes 10 times more important that we are able to move along with saying everything is fine. Very nice, everyone. Any more suggestions in this line? Excellent. Excellent.
சண்டை போட்டு
நீங்க பண்ணீங்களா?
We can still hear you, Dad. Mom, you want to say something?
சொல்றேண்ணா.
What, Radha? Anybody else? Any comments? Any closing remarks? Next Monday, one final session we will have where people have little more time to share their stories and experiences. It will be more like a group discussion, and I'll more like a participant rather than a presenter next week. But I'm expecting next week to be a fun one. Any other closing remarks before we leave for today? again and again, my request is to find that in the morning itself, that energy. Simplest way is to stay hungry. And I believe that straight away, starting at the silence or 0, 0 or love all, whatever, the way to connect at the source is when we start with nothing in our slate. Otherwise, the logical mind has too many suggestions, things to do. So connect with your inner nature, find that smile, find that gratitude. Then you'll find that day moves along 10 times or even 100 times smoother. That's what I sincerely request you all to try for this whole week and share that experience next week when we meet again. Excellent, excellent.
Anand,
Yes, sir.
the ultimate thing what you have been stressing is any person self-realized state, nothing will happen to him. As long as he is not realized himself, the problems comes in. The many problems are all, if a father, mother, or whoever it may be, human being, nature is, they want the person seeing them to be like them. That is the worst thing we can expect. Especially parents and children, if you expect them that they should be like you, is the greatest harm you are doing to the children. So allow them to grow, allow them to enjoy, and that's what we all the time self-realized state. Never forget what you are. That's all. I think Radha wants to say something.
It was as usual very nice, and our session was very good. And Uncle carried away the show with his little rainbow. It was very beautiful. Uncle, where do you get the props from? Your props are really a big hit in this group. And I think we are going to expect that a lot more. Romba nalla irukku uncle, unga ideas ellam.
Nice,
You
nice.
just steal it away. And about this session, I think the first thing I'll remember will be that beautiful rainbow and all the 7 reasons of the colors. Very nice. Where that is, you put it very easily into our heads. It's not like, you know, memorizing or any difficulty in learning that. So it's very nice. And that yellow smiley also. That is also very cute. Still in our memory. Thank you, Uncle. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anna. It was very nice.
Radha, that's what Anand is all the time
Uncle.
doing. Instead of simply talking, Anand is communicating with the audio visual. Once you communicate with the audio and visual, your registration will be excellent. That's a simple thing. I appreciate Anand.
This very important thing that Dad touched upon was atherosclerosis is not permanent. We can fix the blockage, we can heal it, we can get permanent cure despite the genes saying so. Family history of heart disease, all these things Dad highlighted beautifully.
Because Anand, do you remember, both of us presented this conference in Sydney, in the World Conference. Both of us presented how the regression occurs in our Indian setup. This happened many years ago.
Uncle, that was a very nice point, Uncle. India, at present, all diabetic patients, they take it for granted. They're saying, my mother is a diabetic, father is a diabetic, so I'm a diabetic. They're accepting it so easily, thinking it is not reversible or it is not preventive. So that point which you said was too good. It was, you know, it was really very nice. It was a real eye-opener for all of us. That was very nice. So there is a lot of effort.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I was not very obese or anything, but I was eating a lot of white rice because that's how I grew up, enjoying white rice. And I thought because I'm 6 feet tall, I need more rice and I play some tennis. But obviously, I was eating way more than my requirement was. The way my body reacted is it already showed some early stages of pre-diabetes. My sugar levels were over 100. This is about 10 years ago. And I met an endocrinologist who is from our part, Asia. And she said, oh, Indian, you are also Indian, you are in your 30s. You're playing tennis, but still you should start metformin. 10 years ago, I was prescribed metformin. So far, I haven't taken it and my numbers are still excellent. And that's because I moved away from white rice and recognized how important we think we are eating healthy, but again and again, we can rediscover healthier options again and again. Because of this fast-paced world, we've had 10,000 years to move away from nature. To reverse 10,000 years of culture is not that easy, but that is the challenge, or I would say the learning that we have the opportunity to do on an ongoing basis. And simplest way is if you are really hungry, that means you have erased much of whatever harm you have eaten. So that's why my suggestion to simply stay more hungry is I think a very direct way of
But
getting health.
still we alternate rice and wheat here. Practically every day we eat rice and wheat and, you know, thinking this is better than that, that is better than this.
Rice and wheat are
Still
okay.
we are not able to.
You have to be very hungry.
Quantity.
And you have to eat very little.
So quantity maybe, yes. Quantity definitely we have all lessened.
You can choose 50 fruits every day, Radha. But if you are choosing rice, you have to choose lesser quantity with plenty of vegetables. And after that, the next meal, you should feel really hungry. If you snack in between all that, the risk only keeps going up. Because we are using the finite stores of insulin in our body. And if we use it up by the time we are 30, 40, 50, at older age, diabetes is okay. They say Alzheimer's dementia is actually a metabolic or a diabetic type syndrome. So if we are 80 years old, totally healthy but demented, then it's a big loss. So as long as we are alive to avoid dementia, I think fasting, is the simplest and most important thing we can start embracing in 2020.
Yeah,
I am trying out on yoga now. No, sorry.
Yoga.
Sorry, go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Dr. Go ahead.
No, I'm just, I am trying intermittent fasting. I'm able to do up to 17 hours. I used to go to the gym. Now I'm doing a little yoga at home. So is weight training a must, Anna? Is weight training a must?
It's a good thing.
Or can we do it with yoga or power yoga? Is that enough?
It's good. That variety is excellent. Once or twice a week, little bit of weight training will actually help us in the long term. Throughout life, it is good.
Thank you. Thank you,
Anand,
Nanda.
when you talk about rice, Anand, when you
want me
talk
to
about
talk about
rice, do you differentiate the brown rice and white rice or just in toto?
White rice, anything white we want to avoid completely.
Yeah, then brown rice?
Zero white
okay?
rice. Same thing, refined wheat flour also, we want to minimize. Same thing with sugar, salt, even
That's all white, Anand. Refined things, sir. But brown rice.
Brown rice is much better. And
So it's okay, no, isn't it?
What we have now in our family is brown rice and quinoa combination, 50-50 combination.
Quinoa.
And even that, I recognize is not something I can infinitely have. I have to still curtail portions, knowing that that is also still consuming a lot of insulin. So that is the important thing to recognize. If we have more focus on the vegetables on our plate, we have to cook more and deliberately have more vegetables and lentils and things like that, which are more fiber and more natural. That way we can go through the day much better. And ultimate reality is, when our eating that has culturally been with us has to be unlearned, in the sense we can do surprisingly well with way lesser food than we thought we needed. That is the simplest finding that I want you to experiment with on an ongoing basis throughout life itself. Not like for the next week you will try this. Keep experimenting with how little food you need to do everything you want to do with your day.
And Sham wants to talk. Sham?
No, I just wanted to ask, is millet a good option, alternative?
Yes, millets is very similar to quinoa, and it has very high protein content and much lesser calorie intensity. So it's a very good replacement.
Yeah, I've had a good experience with that.
Real oat they can be used. So many rice substitutes are becoming more and more popular in our culture. Same thing, idli dosa, we have with the regular mix. Instead, if we use ragi and other things, we can get so much rava, ragi, so many other things are available, which we can try and get much lesser of a sugar bump in the system. So the body deals with it so much better.
Yeah, I've had a good effect because it's almost a year and a half I've been totally off rice and only millets. It has had a cumulatively good effect. Yeah.
Excellent.
Doctor, if I'm not a diabetic or I don't have any sugar issues, like, is it okay to eat rice or wheat?
I eat rice. Everybody can eat. Again, we have to recognize that it is not what our ancestors.
Quantity alone has to be
We have
controlled.
to eat the right quantity. Everything is healthy. if it is eaten at the right level. Quantity.
Okay. I just want to like
Quantity. I used to enjoy rice. I thought being a tennis player or enjoying outdoors, I can eat more rice, but that much rice my body did not need. What ended up with a prescription of metformin 10 years ago, which I haven't needed because I made the shift. That's why I'm sharing that knowledge with you. Excellent.
So on a happy note, I want to let you know that, my pressure used to be really high. Used to be like, it ranges up to 150 and above. And now it's like under 130 now. Wow. And I tried the intermittent fasting has helped me. I think I primarily will, say that because of my fasting and stuff, has really helped me to control my pressure. So thank you for all your guidance on that.
I'm so glad to see you smile and say this. So that is the ownership for your health that you are taking. From me being your doctor, now you have become your own doctor. Next, you can give up that medicine also for blood pressure, whatever we prescribe. Slowly, we can try seeing how you do without it. If the blood pressure numbers are good, really there is no reason for you to be on the medicines. Congratulations, Sala.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sala, when you're telling about the pressure, I know you must be very careful about your total intake of salt per day.
Right.
Salt is a very important culprit for the blood pressure. So cut down short, and what you have been feeling, as Anand was telling, you may stop all the medicines he has given to you.
And when we fast, what happens is the body's salt level goes down significantly. So there are 24 hours, when we drink only water, there is such a drop in salt level that blood pressure is the first thing you will see a big benefit. Diabetes takes a little longer. But both the medicines for diabetes, cholesterol, and for hypertension, all these three biggest culprits for heart disease directly are benefited with once a week not getting food into the body. It's like resetting the entire system.
We're going to say bye-bye, Anand.
Yes, wonderful session, Anand.
Hope to see you next week and have some fun.
Yes. Looking
really great, Anand. I really appreciate. Sala, even I'm in America, I won't be spending this much of time with you, Sala. See, now you can spend
Enjoy
more
all
time.
the conversation. It's a joy to come every week just to see you on the screen, Uncle. I really enjoy chatting with you.
Equally we are.
Nice meeting you all.
Thank you, Anand. I appreciate. Continue your journey, Anand.